Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My name is Basharat Salim. I am the Executive Director at the Islamic Society of North America. I want to welcome you all for joining us for today's Friday Reflections. Today, I want to welcome our guest speaker, Sister Aisha Virginia Gray Henry. I'm going to read a brief bio, and inshallah, then we would ask her to begin her talk. After finishing her degree in world religions in 1965 and then reading alGhazali's autobiography, Sister Aisha and her husband became Muslim and were offered scholarships at Al-Azhar University in Cairo. At Al-Azhar, they studied fiqh, hadith, and tajweed from 1969 to 79. In 1980, they founded the Islamic Text Society in Cambridge, UK, in order to have great classics from the Islamic traditions translated and published in the highest form. In 1991, Sister Aisha returned to Kentucky to care for her parents, and after working in the Bosnian refugee camps and working with Muslims in Tibet, Sister Aisha opened Fons Vitae Books. Her life effort is the Ghazali series for children. Please welcome Sister Aisha Henry Gray.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone, my great ISNA family. To think how many years I've been involved with ISNA. Even when I was living in England, I would come over for the great gatherings. Dr. Sayed Muhammad Sayed and his wife Rafia, their daughter Afifa works with me. They have been best friends for over a quarter of a century. And when I think also of Dr. Muhammad Sanusi, we're always together, working together. Ingrid Mattson, I mean, she works with me on this project and is one of our greatest editors and advisory board. And then Imam Majid has now invited us to come over to his Adams Center to take this project and turn it into teacher training films. So I just want to say I'm part of the ISNA family for a long, long time. I'm going to show you a film in a moment of a project we've been working on. Many years ago, Hamza Yusuf came to me and we were talking about the problem with Islamic education for children and how much tarbiyah was needed, not just tahleem with information being given and memorized, but a whole focus on character development. And we came up with the idea of, wouldn't it be amazing if we took the works of Imam alGhazali and had those translated incredibly and then made into storybooks for children, workbooks, many things. And I'm going to show you a 2-minute video about the project. And then I'm going to tell you some of the wonderful things about it. I read Ghazali when, as the brother said, when I was 22 and began publishing him in England with the Text Society, starting with Abdul Hakim Winter in 1981 with Death and What Comes After. And here at the other end of my life, I was panicking because Ghazali is great, but he's very difficult to read. And everything I was publishing was above everyone's head, at least my head. It was too scholarly. But by putting this material into a children's format, it actually works for mothers, fathers, teachers, adults, and even me. So now I'm going to show you a little 2-minute video so you'll have an image of what we're talking about. Bismillah. The Ghazali Children's Project seeks to educate children spiritually and transform their characters by showing how the outer aspects of Islam can, through their inner spiritually transformative meanings, change every situation into one that strengthens their innate human nobility of character. The project aims to help support entire communities of Muslim parents, teachers, and children in realizing how to live by and embody the noble prophetic character through self-observation and correction. Children draw their own golden hearts, adding dots representing what they wish to correct. This series aims to provide authentic, quality guidance through Ghazali's systematic approach for developing virtuous character. The project is overseen and supported by a team of internationally recognized Ghazali scholars. Fons Vitae, a publisher of classical Islamic texts, has undertaken the monumental task of translating and adapting the first 6 books so far of Ghazali's revival of the religious sciences into a series for children and youth. Included in each book set are the original books in translation for parents and teachers. The adapted children's version includes a workbook, teachers' manuals, and a curriculum with many supportive activities. An interactive website effectively engages children with many resources, including downloadable books and comics, videos, and things to do. Kids film themselves play acting vices and virtues and post these on the website. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "I only came to teach good character." So, are we back?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Continue.
I don't think anyone can hear me.
Continue.
All right. So I'm very happy to show you that little clip there. This project has now gone on to have a 7th book, the Book of Hajj, and it's already, these books are already in 13 languages. Certainly Urdu, Arabic, the Arabic edition is being finished. The Urdu is the most beautiful one of all. And now it's going into Uzbeki. We are working with the Uzbekistan school system. So it's so heartening to think there's something I could do to give back to this wonderful Islamic community, this wonderful ummah that I have been part of and loved for so many years. And this project really, it's got maybe 450 pilot schools. If you go to the Franz Vitae Ghazali Children website, you can see an entire film on the Hub Club in England. In South Africa, they did an entire Ghazali festival, and we went and did workshops in 16 different venues in 4 cities. So it's something which has really taken off. But for me personally, this has been a project which has transformed my life and certainly the lives of my grandchildren. And I just want to say the Book of Knowledge, the Kitab al-Ilm, and the Book of Belief, the Akita, the first 2 books in this series. These books are really written in the language of young people, of children. And the stories are for children, but they affect us all. It doesn't matter that they're for children because it's foundational. And in the beginning, our children are given this. Ghazali opens the Book of Knowledge with the idea, he says, did you know there are 2 kinds of learning? So we ask a child that, and they say 2. Yes, there's regular everyday learning, and then there's special learning, the real learning. And they say, well, what's that? Oh, that's how to polish your heart. Polish your heart? What do you mean? How does your heart get dirty? Oh, well, didn't you know you have 2 hearts? A regular heart that pumps the blood, and then you have the real special heart. It's the fitra, really, the golden heart. And gets dirty, yes. Maybe sometimes you don't share. Maybe you're angry all the time. Maybe you're in moods, whatever it is. So the children say, well, but why do you have to polish it off? Oh, didn't you know there are 2 worlds? This world we're in is very quick and brief, and we have many difficulties and trials, which are ways we're given to actually polish our heart. And then there's the next world, which is perfect and beautiful, where we all want to go. And I told this to my 5-year-old granddaughter, she's now 14, when I was writing the first book. And she listened and she was drawing. Then she went in the living room and her father was playing, he plays the harpsichord. And she said, what's that? And he said, this was written by Bach, who died 250 years ago. And she put her hands on her fists on her hips and she said, Dad, he's not dead, he's in the next world. Because giving a child this entire outline of life in 5 minutes, these are the first 4 chapters of the Book of Knowledge, her fitra recognized it and she loved it and she understood it. and she knows it because she recognized it. And so from there, you have children understanding, I'm a golden heart. There's a place for self-respect. And the difficulties I have are going to come. And I don't have to worry about death. So you've not only given them a sense of self-worth and self-esteem, because, you know, when we're saying, go to your room, you did it again, you're naughty, all the rest, they might start identifying with that. But if they know, that's just to be polished away. And the Book of Knowledge also tells small children about the three selves, the nafs al-amara, the nafs al-lawama, the nafs al-mutma, and their drawings and games, and they completely understand it. And it's very important that we give our children, we give them, let's say, the dignity of being in charge of their own religion, to be able to watch themselves and correct themselves. That's why we have them drawing their hearts and writing things they wish to correct. That's why we have all those incredible games and play acting, because many times children, you tell them, share. And that just sounds bad, like it's something mother is saying. It's like, go to your room. But once they play act, not sharing, oh, you can't play with my toy. Oh, you can't hold my train. And then that's fun. And then you say, well, play act sharing. Would you like to hold my truck? Would you like to do this? And they feel, oh, that's what sharing is. It feels good. I didn't lose anything by it. And it was easy to do. So all the time, if we have one of our major aspects of our curricula program that comes with the teacher's manual and the activities are different things you can play act, so that you come to experience and not just be told, do these things. You experience how awful being angry is and how lovely it is not to be. So the first two books, and the book of Akita is very profound. That book, the book of Akita, the book of belief, Azhar University has also already translated the children's version to use with their students, their school system, and it's being used by imams and mosques. Then when we go to the book of purification and prayer, it's already for older, but it's amazing what it does for children to realize that when they're doing their wudu, when they're washing their hands, they don't just wash, they're thinking, Ya Allah, I'm sorry for what I just did. Help me to do the right thing. When they rinse their mouth, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Guide me to say the right thing. Washing the feet, guide me to take me to the right places. So the children are realizing they can actually be polishing their heart 5 times a day when they're doing wudu. And then they're taught with the prayer, oh, you don't have to rush through it. You know, he teaches you a way to be present instead of having your mind wander in the prayer. I have to watch the time here. And for example, he says, if you stood before a king, wouldn't you pay attention? Or would you be like fiddling around or looking at your iPhone or something? No. And when you're before the King of Kings, you have to be completely present. But then we all find in our prayer that our mind wanders. So Ghazali suggests that when you say Allahu Akbar, at that moment, you bring yourself totally into presence. And it will last a few moments and then it will fade, but you can keep trying. And then he shows how, we shouldn't just have postures and things we're saying without having a different mode of being. If we're saying Subhanallah, shouldn't we be in a state of awe? If we're saying Ihdina Sirata, shouldn't we feel sorry? We need guidance. So this changes the prayer into something else altogether. Then by the time we got to the book of Zakat and fasting, it upgrades even further. But all of this material is so incredibly helpful to adults. I mean, actually, I have to say this project, which has become my life's project, is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I'm so glad Brother Hamza Yusuf stayed with me and is the project director, and all these wonderful people are on board. But then from the book of charity, I mean, I thought, oh, book of Zakat, it's going to talk about 2.5%. It's going to talk about a mudda of grain. It wasn't that at all. It starts out, the children, we're the way the book works, they're children in a Muslim town. And one day they're walking home from school and they're talking about how they don't know why they have to say their prayers and their mother's upset if they're late and so forth. And then they see a hidden garden, and they go inside and they think, we could come here and we could actually talk about what we're worried about. But then they said, who will answer our questions? And then they remember, oh, there's that wonderful old man, an elder, and who sits every day in the park, Hajj Abdullah, and the birds eat out of his hands and the squirrels come. And they go to him and they say, Hajj Abdullah, would you come to our magic garden after school and answer our questions? And he says, I'm happy to come, but I couldn't answer for myself. But I will answer your questions through the writings of Imam alGhazali. So that's how the Ghazali is presented, through him and through their parents and their grandparents and their teachers, so that children learn that this wonderful inner way of understanding everything, not just learning the outward, but learning the inner reasons why. So in the book of Zakat, the children are on a merry-go-round and they notice there's some children out looking longingly, but they don't have the change to come on board. And they realize they look a little shabby. And on the way to the garden, they see a man saying, Lillah, Lillah. And they rush in and they rush to Hajj Abdullah and they say, oh, Hajj Abdullah, why are some people rich and some people poor? And he said, first, and they mentioned about the beggar. He said, take this change. We don't disappoint someone who reaches out. And take this change and know that li means for the sake of God, but li means it belongs to God. So when they return, he explains that everything we have, who we are, our skills, what we've been given, our parents, our connections, everything that we did not give to ourselves. It's all on loan from Allah. It's an amana that we have with Allah. So then he explains that there is a good way to give and a bad way to give. And these are, Ghazali's stories are just amazing. He's really a brilliant storyteller. And to be able to pull all this out of this heavy scholarly stuff, I mean, it's really hard to do. It takes hours and hours, and thank God I have scholars to check everything. But anyway, so he says the wrong way to give. This is Ghazali says, once upon a time there was a king, and this king went to a man who had lands and said, there's a hungry family in the town, take them food. But this man with the lands thinks, oh, they're mine. I take care of them. He forgot that they were alone. And he goes in and he holds the plate of food up high, so the people have to reach up like they're begging and they feel low. Can you imagine? Wrong way to give. And then next day, the king goes to an orphan who's been adopted and by a nice family who have taught him money. And he says, there's a poor widow in the town and she needs money to educate her children. Please go and give her money. Now he goes and he kneels low and he holds the money very low and he looks up into her face and he says, oh, blessed lady, I beg you to receive what I bring on behalf of the king in order that I may fulfill my debt, my loan, my trust to God. These stories are amazing. And it's changed the way I think now. I mean, you realize you're nobody. You didn't give yourself who you are, what you have, your connections. So we're just watching as Allah gives us strength to act and sends us ways to fulfill and to give back. So that book was amazing. And there was another point in it where Ghazali talks about good thoughts. And here's the kind of game we play with children. He says that, well, when we have good thoughts, these are coming from the angels, right? And then these can get chased away, very easily. And so we have to, and then, so you have to act on them very quickly. And I remember the time once I had a friend, Hassan Eaton in England, and I knew he was ill. And every day here in Kentucky, I was thinking I should call him up. And then I'd think, oh, wrong, 5 hours, too late. I'll do it tomorrow. Next day, can't do it, busy. Next day, he died. And I saw right then, those thoughts saying, call him, were coming, not from they were coming from Allah. And so now I'm very careful. If a good thought comes, like visit someone in the nursing home, I do it. I'm afraid not to. But then the games we play with the children is we get them to line up, and then one child will give a good thought, and then another will be the waswisu. Oh, don't help your mother, go watch TV. And they love this, and they start laughing, and they all do this. And then we go where each one of them gives a thought, something real in his life, not abstract, something at school or at home. And then he gives his own waswiso. So they get to practice all the time, observe self-observation and self-correction, the jihad al-nafs, basically. So this is really amazing thing. And so now, then the book of fasting, well, my goodness, that was, we got it out and we sent it all out for free during Ramadan with some games and things that the community could use. But I mean, I hadn't realized, the two levels of fasting, the regular level, and then the one where you have to fast from everything you do wudu from what you say, from what you listen to. And so we really involve the children into this very special and good fast as well. And that book was pretty shocking, because in the book of knowledge, when we studied, Ghazali does 10 things which you absolutely can't do, and you absolutely cannot backbite. It's not maybe, it cannot be done. And I rewrote that chapter, 22 times. And on the last rewrite, I couldn't decide, should I put in the thing from the Quran that it's this, as if you were eating that person's dead flesh. Then I thought, the kids can take it, I'll do it. And that evening I went out and I was having dinner with some lady friends, and they were talking about someone's father. And I knew a really hilarious, horrible story about him, and I told it. And when I got in the car to driving home, I felt ill, sick at my stomach. And I ran in the house and I threw up. So it's not a metaphor, it's actually true. And so, and one day a mother called me and she said, I was at a ladies' party talking, and my little daughter whispered in my ear, Mom, are you backbiting? I said, let me speak to Lena. She got on the phone and she said, Auntie, until we read the chapter on backbiting, I didn't know about it. Nobody talks about it. And I thought, that's right. We should be talking about it all day long. It's that bad. And so what are we doing? Saying this person's going to hell, she's a kafir, that group's no good. We shouldn't say anything. It's nothing to talk about. And so the backbiting became very clear in the fasting book when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, told a lady who said, may I give up fasting? I'm very frail. And he said, take this bowl and throw up in it. And in front of everyone, pieces of blood and flesh came out. He said, no, you already broke your fast by backbiting. So we need to have ways to get our children from the beginning of their lives totally ready to stop doing this ever. And it's so easy, and they love it so much. And now I have been working this whole 3 months. I've been inside the house, including Ramadan, on the book of Hajj. And we're now working on the teacher's training manual and all the activities. And I have a team of teachers. We have many schools who use the project, and they have teachers who have great activities. And so we're working on the workbook. But writing the book, I've made the Hajj 2 times and a zillion umrahs. I may as well have not done it for the lack of understanding of what I was doing. I mean, this book is so profound. I don't even know how to begin. But I hadn't realized that when we're standing before the black stone, before we make tawaf and come around, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. But when we start out, we actually make a statement, pledging, reconfirming our contract with Allah. And the black stone is considered to contain the act, the contract, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Adam, am I not your Lord? And Adam said, yes. And he said, lest you say, lest on the day of reckoning, you plead ignorance of this. That's the contract that's in there. So you begin everything with the beginning, with the primordial moment, with Adam being, knowing his Lord. And then you end the Hajj at the plain of Arafat all day long with every being from all the communities begging Allah's mercy and mercy and forgiveness. And then there you are, you're having, I remember thinking when we were walking up to Muzdalifah, oh my goodness, this is like a preview of the Yom al-Qiyamah. I mean, everyone dressed in their grave clothes. And Ghazali said, if you were going to meet God, what would you wear? What else would you wear except the humblest? Because you hope at that moment you are like in your grave clothes, dead to everything in your life but God's presence and serving him. I mean, so you're getting in the Hajj. I mean, it makes me cry. It's so unbelievable. You're actually getting in a few days an experience from the beginning to the very end. No wonder it's so powerful, and one hardly knows what to say. And one's at the Kaaba, you know. And then the section he did on Medina, I have to watch. I have like 1 minute left on going to Medina. I know most of you all know all of this. I mean, you all are scholars in Islamic everything, and you've read everything. But I mean, just I hadn't realized that we really are visiting him himself in Medina and all that that means. I have to end here because I know you want to say a few other words, but I just want to say that this project, these books, videos, teachers projects, pilot schools, it's only been going. We finished it in 2018, and here we are 20, and it's gone worldwide. I mean, the Singaporeans send the best art. We have the interactive website for children, and we're now working for every chapter of all of the books to have a drop-down menu on the children's website so that you can go and see what art children have sent in, what curricula different teachers have done, so that you can get inspiration of how to teach at home or in your weekend school, or this of course makes a wonderful support for any Islamic studies course. So I just give you my salams, the beautiful ummah here, my ISNA friends, and alhamdulillah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Aisha. On behalf of ISNA, I want to thank you for your time today, inshallah, and we look forward to more programs with you in the future, and we will be in touch. I want to thank our audience for joining us today. Inshallah, this weekend on Saturday, we will be organizing another program with some of our scholars. This is in collaboration with the Fiqh Council of North America, the FCNA. We'll have Sister Ustada Zainab Ansari. We have Dr. Yasir Qadi. We'll have Dr. Muzammil Siddiqui, Dr. Ehsan Bagbi, and Dr. Zulfikar Shah. The title of the program on Saturday at 7:30 would be Islam Against Racism. So please join us. Visit our website, isna.net. You will find the YouTube link there. Inshallah, subscribe to our newsletter so you can be informed about our programming on a regular basis. Thank you for joining us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.